Adaeze was the quiet one. In the middle of her loud, loving, chaotic household in Enugu, she hardly spoke unless spoken to. Her elder sister, Amaka, was the family's golden child, loud, brilliant, always top of her class. Her younger brother, Nonso, was the one with jokes and charm who always got away with everything. But Adaeze just watched. She watched as her mother paced every morning, selling akara and pap by the roadside. She watched her father come back from his mechanic workshop covered in grease, his eyes tired but full of hope. And she listened to the whispers about money, about school fees, about dreams that didn't fit their reality. At 16, Adaeze had no answers. But she had a cheap techno phone and something that felt like fire in her chest. She read blogs. She devoured Twitter threads. She started typing her thoughts as short, fictional stories. First about heartbreak, then about struggling youth, then about poor girls who made it big. By the time she turned 17, the silence was already holding a secret. Pause, subscribe, like and comment what you think is going to happen. It started with a tweet. One night, Adaeze borrowed her mum's lantern, stayed up while everyone slept, and typed a story on her phone. It was about a girl whose parents thought she was useless, until she built a tech empire from her tiny hostel room. She didn't expect anything from it. But when she checked the next morning, the tweet had gone viral. The comments poured in. More please. Is this real? You should write a book. She didn't tell anyone. She couldn't. Her father barely understood the internet. Her mother thought WhatsApp chain messages were gospel. And besides, what would she say? I'm writing stories on Twitter and people like them. She kept writing. Every night, she posted short threads. People followed her. They sent her private messages asking for more. Someone called her the Nigerian Chimamanda in disguise. Then one day, someone offered to pay her to write. Can you ghostwrite an ebook for me? I'll pay 50,000 naira. Her hands shook. She'd never seen that much money at once. Adaeze said yes. She created a new Gmail. A new PayPal. A fake name. If her father ever found out she was dealing with strangers online, she knew what would follow. A long sermon, a threat to seize her phone, and a warning about Yahoo boys and ritualists. So she hid. Her name online became Chidi Writes. Nobody knew she was a girl. Nobody knew she was 17. Nobody knew she wrote, while sitting on the concrete floor beside her family's coal pot in the backyard. She wrote ebooks, blog posts, ghosted love letters for men trying to win their girlfriends back. Once, she even wrote a full 10,000-word story about a man who left the village and built an empire in Canada. She was making money. Real money. And the day she crossed her first 300,000 naira in earnings, she cried quietly under her wrapper. She had never worn anything that cost more than 2,000 naira. So when she ordered a skirt online for 8,000, her heart pounded like she had committed a crime. She lied to her mother and said a classmate gave it to her. The next day, Amaka accused her of stealing. Who gave you this thing? You think I don't know you? You're too quiet. It's always the quiet ones. Adaeze kept quiet. Inside, she screamed. By 18, she had made more than her father earned in a whole year. Yet she still fetched water every morning and cooked for her siblings. She could have bought herself a new phone. She didn't. She could have moved out. She didn't. Because the money was not just hers. It was for something bigger. Their rent was due in 2 weeks. Her father had been begging his former customers for balance payments. Her mother had started selling puff-puff after evening market hours. Adaeze had $470,000 in her account. She wanted to help. But how? She couldn't just walk in and say, "Daddy, I have the money." So she printed a fake scholarship letter. She told her parents she had won a writing contest online and the prize was a student support fund. She gave them $350,000 and begged them not to ask questions. They wept. They prayed for her. Her father told everyone in church that God had finally remembered them. Adaeze smiled quietly and went back to ghostwriting romance novels for foreign clients. Success makes silence heavy. At 19, Adaeze had hit her first 1 million. She had multiple clients, a system for outsourcing smaller jobs to other writers, and her own e-course on freelance writing for Nigerians. She ran everything through aliases. But hiding was no longer safe. Her brother saw her bank alert one day. "Who is sending you $700? She told him it was a foreign scholarship stipend. He stared at her for too long. "Are you doing Yahoo?" She slapped him before she could stop herself. That night, she cried harder than she had in years. It was time to stop hiding. She sat them down. Her parents. Amaka. Nonso. She told them everything. From the first tweet to the ebooks, to the ghostwriting, to the 1.2 million in her business account. Her mother covered her mouth like she had seen a ghost. Her father stood up and walked outside. Amaka didn't speak. It took an hour before anyone said a word. Her father came back, looked at her and said, "You did all this on your phone?" Adaeze nodded. He walked over and hugged her. Her mother knelt down and began to pray. Amaka left the room. 2 weeks later, Adaeze got an email. A publishing company in Lagos had read her anonymous Medium article. They wanted to adapt her story into a series. They offered her a 5-figure deal in dollars. She couldn't believe it. She took a flight for the first time in her life. When she entered the boardroom and introduced herself, the executive stared. "You're just a teenager." "I'm 19. They laughed. But not in mockery, in disbelief. They signed the deal. On the way home, she looked out the plane window and wept. It was real now. When the news broke that Adaeze had sold her story to a big studio, the entire town went wild. Church members who never spoke to them were suddenly offering favors. A distant uncle called to say he always believed in her. Amaka began warming up again, helping Adaeze with new outfits and online meetings. Even her father, who once hated the internet, began calling it our blessing. But Adaeze wasn't distracted. She began mentoring young writers, teaching them how to build income through storytelling. She never sold them dreams, only systems. Her name became a whisper in writing groups. The girl who made it from nothing. The quiet girl who kept a Millionaire a secret. On her 20th birthday, she stood on stage at a Lagos digital summit, facing hundreds of faces. She told them everything, the silence, the fear, the first 50,000, the secret. After her speech, a girl in the front row burst into tears and whispered, "You gave me hope." That night, as Adaeze lay in her hotel bed overlooking the city skyline, she thought of her old compound in Enugu. She thought of her mother frying akara in the morning fog. She thought of the old techno phone, the lantern, the fake scholarship letter. She smiled. She wasn't hiding anymore. They all thought they knew her, the quiet girl, the obedient daughter. But Adaeze had always been more. And now, the world would finally see it.